one of these for me to do this.
Very big. Why is it so big writing?
Because I like it that way.
You have to turn the page like 500 times.
I do, but I like it that way.
What if you skip a page?
It slows me down.
You should have had page numbers on the bottom.
But I've got this, so it's fine. Okay.
And how do you know you haven't changed it in the past 2 minutes?
Hi, everybody. If you all want to take your seats. Thank you. If you all want to come on in and take your seats.
Right next to me. No, she's there. There.
Thank you. If you all want to take your seats. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Milwaukee Jewish Federation's 2025 annual meeting. I'm Judy Corin, the Federation Board Chair, and I'm really happy to see you all here. Last year at this event, I spoke about how honored I felt to take on this role. And what I didn't know then was just how deeply that feeling would grow. As Federation's board chair, I've had a front row seat to the extraordinary work that we do, day after day, meeting after meeting, challenge after challenge. The impact we make is real. Milwaukee is caring, Milwaukee is strong, and Milwaukee is committed. Together, as one, we've lived our mission, caring for the needs of the Jewish people and building a vibrant Jewish future right here in Milwaukee, in Israel, and around the world. This past year, 3 priorities have been our compass. First, safety and security. We made bold moves to protect our Jewish community in Milwaukee and across Wisconsin. From creating our own security LLC to advancing innovative approaches to combating anti-Semitism, we've made sure that our people are protected and that our voices are heard. And you'll hear more about this later. Second, we refused to let fear define Jewish life. We insisted that being Jewish means more than reacting to threats. It means celebrating life, learning, tradition, and joy. Federation made sure that every generation, from toddlers at camp to the elderly in our community, found meaningful ways to connect with Jewish life. Schools, museums, synagogues, family gatherings, holiday events, these are the threads that weave us together. And we work to make every thread stronger. Third, we focused on how we do our work. In a time of intense emotions and global challenges, we stayed grounded. We made sure Jewish Milwaukee had a seat at the tables where the decisions are made. We advocated fiercely but thoughtfully, with an eye on what truly matters, protecting and strengthening Jewish life here and everywhere. Tonight, we celebrate this work and you. None of this happens without you, and without the generations who came before us. The words Lador Vidor, from generation to generation, continue to echo with meaning. For 120 years, philanthropists, leaders, and visionaries have built the foundation we stand on tonight. Thank you all for being a part of it. You are all essential to the work that we do. And now, to open our evening, I'm honored to welcome someone who has been a personal source of wisdom, comfort, and inspiration, my rabbi from Congregation Sinai, Rabbi David Cohen, to share a Devar Torah. I invited Rabbi Cohen to join us this evening. Sorry. I invited him before his recent retirement announcement. And now, knowing that his official chapter as Sinai Senior Rabbi is drawing to a close, I'm even more grateful that he's here with us tonight. Rabbi, your presence, your guidance, and your steady voice have meant so much to me, my family, and so many others in this room. Mazel tov on your well-deserved retirement, but let me be among the many to say you will be deeply, deeply missed. We're lucky to have you here with us tonight and to have had your presence, your wisdom, and your heart in all of our lives all these years. And we still get one more year, so welcome.
Thank you, Judy. And I would like to suggest that we have an embargo on such goodbye speeches for at least a few months. It's really difficult. Ribono shel olam, ground of the universe and the source of all of our lives. We gather tonight as one people, our hearts stretched between Milwaukee and Israel, between the joy of our community and the ache of a world in pain. We never seem to lack a cadre of ongoing crises in Gaza and Israel, where, as Miriam pointed out eloquently in a recent letter to past and current board members of the Federation, for every piece, and this is not her words, I'm kind of quoting out of school here. For every piece of fake photography and wildly inflated casualty figures, there cries out real suffering among those in Gaza. And I might add the worrisome absence of empathy among many Israelis. After October 7th, I don't think we need to wonder why that might be the case. Nor can we ignore the dismantling of democracy here at home, coupled with a disturbing lack of empathy towards immigrants. And though we continue to affirm that we are Jews who care for one another, for our people, and for the world we are called upon to repair, those powerful assertions seem surprisingly insufficient for today's challenges. We are a people of memory. As the Baal Shem Tov famously taught, Ki baschira sod geula, in remembering lies the secret of redemption. Many years ago, I received a Jewish calendar from the Simon Wiesenthal Center. It wasn't a calendar to remind you about day-to-day quotidian events. Rather, on each and every day of the year, it listed a series of violent and horrible pogroms perpetrated on that particular date in Jewish history. It was intending to be a disturbing piece, and it succeeded. On some level, I feel like we may be living in a calendar like that from time to time these days. Between the attacks on Israel from every direction, the increasingly hostile reception Jews receive in the public square and on college campuses, as well as in the online world. Yet I'm pretty sure the Baal Shem Tov was not talking about just memories of anguish and loss. The wisdom he transmitted is that our tradition has the capacity to brilliantly transform those many difficult memories of suffering. Consider how Judaism does so. Instead of remembering every attack on every day, Judaism batches together several of the most significant losses on a single day, the 9th day of the month of Av, Tisha B'Av. Why do we observe a day of sackcloth and ashes and sorrowful melodies? Judaism concentrates our sorrow so we can remember and celebrate the other times, the many eras in which Jewish life has flourished unthreatened. And so we seek a point of equipoise, a balance between the hatreds fueling terror in the Middle East, as well as the targeting of immigrants and racial and religious minorities here in America, on the one hand, and an undying desire for and commitment to finding and maintaining hope on the other. And so the week following Tisha B'Av, we watch our people pivot from sorrow to hope. This week's Haftarah message, one of the most famous Haftarot, comes from the prophets and says, Nachamu, Nachamu Ami, be comforted, my people. What's more, this message of nechemta, of consolation and hope, is repeated in every Haftarah portion from this Shabbat until Rosh Hashanah. So while it might be hard to be optimistic, we have no choice but to strive for hope. As Rabbi Jonathan Sacks of blessed memory wrote, optimism and hope are not the same thing. Optimism is the belief that the world is changing for the better. Hope is the belief that together we can make the world better. Optimism is a passive virtue. Hope is an active one. It needs no courage to be an optimist, but it takes a great deal of courage to hope. Rabbi Sacks wrote elsewhere words I think of particular import for us tonight going forward. We remember that neither tribalism nor universalism can sustain the world. The in-group centered concern, if I am for myself, who will be for me? And the outward universal ideal of, if I am only for myself, what am I? Can only be balanced by the immediacy of now, which may be why Hillel concluded his tripartite saying with the phrase, and if not now, when? And so, Ribono Shel Olam, Master of the universe, for this moment we pray for a day when no mother will weep for her child, no child will grow up afraid, and swords will truly be beaten into plowshares. Remember our sisters and brothers in Israel, those in harm's way, those waiting for loved ones to come home. And we grieve for every innocent life lost in Israel and in Gaza. We want our work on behalf of the Milwaukee Jewish community to be guided by wisdom, courage, and compassion. May we be worthy heirs of those who came before us leading this organization. And may our children inherit from us a world more just, more secure, and more filled with hope. God, teach us to love Israel with maturity, to praise what is good, to protest what harms, and to value every human life in your image. Bless the work of our hands, Master of the universe, that it may be guided by courage and compassion, and lead us toward the hope we will always refuse to surrender. Baruch atah Adonai shomea tefillah. Blessed are you, Eternal One, who hears our prayers. And together we say, Amen.
Thank you, Rabbi Cohen, for those beautiful, insightful words and a beautiful prayer. Thank you. This is the annual meeting, and we recognize and appreciate everyone who is in the room tonight. You are the leaders guiding the Milwaukee Jewish Federation today, our valued partners across the community, the visionary donors who make our work possible, and the past leaders whose dedication helped build the strong foundation that we stand on. Tonight is more than a recap. It's a moment to reflect not just on the milestones of the past year, but on how those moments are shaping the path ahead for Jewish Milwaukee. This year demanded flexibility, resilience, and heart. We faced the unexpected more than once, but it never stopped us from doing what we do best, showing up for Jewish life in all its fullness. Whether in times of celebration or moments of sorrow, each gathering was powerful and deeply meaningful. Occasionally, we managed to end on time as well. One of the most uplifting moments of the year was the Valor event, hosted by Women's Philanthropy. With over 300 women in attendance, which was 100 more than the year before, it was an evening filled with energy, strength, and hope for the future. Attendees came together to connect, celebrate, and learn from powerful voices in Jewish campus activism. The event's incredible turnout made possible by 62 ambassadors who worked alongside co-chairs Jennifer Kearns, Judy Kenton, Linda Marcus, and Jody Sprinkman. Most inspiring of all, 80% of the attendees made a gift to the annual campaign, demonstrating the power of this event to spark both connection and commitment. Thank you to our co-chairs and the entire Women's Philanthropy team for growing the impact of this signature event year after year. We also came together in heartbreak. This year marked the first yahrzeit of October 7th, 1 year since Hamas's brutal attack on Israel, which claimed over 1,200 lives, saw more than 250 people kidnapped, and shattered our collective sense of safety. Our community gathered to remember, to stand in unity, and to call for the return of the hostages. We honored the resilience of our people and the memory of those we lost. As we gathered again for the Bibas family, for Yom HaShoah, and for Yom HaZikaron, each time reaffirming that even in grief, we are never alone. We ended the year with incredible momentum at our economic forum, the most successful in our history. Nearly 600 business, civic, and philanthropic leaders joined us, filling the room with energy and purpose. Through our corporate partnership program, we raised nearly $400,000 to support our mission. And we were proud to present the inaugural Herb Kohl Service Award to 3 legendary leaders, Shel Lubar, Steve Marcus, and Bud Selig. It was a powerful way to close the year with pride, unity, and vision. Now, we knew we'd have an evening filled with inspiration, but no one told us we'd be treated to a comedy show. The trio was like the Jewish Rat Pack. It was really a treat and was filled with a lot of joy and a lot of laughter. We also launched not one, but 2 transformative initiatives. The first is the Wisconsin Jewish Security Network, a statewide strategy to protect Jewish communities across Wisconsin. This initiative was created in response to growing long-term need for security and the significant costs that come with it. This highly specialized, multi-pronged agency is guided by 6 core pillars of safety and security. These foundational principles inform how we develop comprehensive, customized protection plans for every site that we serve. And a huge thank you to Steve Kravitz, who took on the role of chair of the Security Advisory Committee. The second initiative, J-Hub, is an educational program designed to support educators, school districts, and administrators in teaching the complex history and lasting cultural and social impact of Jews. It is a one-stop shop for Holocaust education, response to anti-Semitism, and curriculum on Jewish identity, supported through programs at HERC, JMM, JCRC, and CJL. In a year marked by great impact, we also encountered unbelievable crisis moments. War in Iran, attacks on Jews around the world, even local acts of anti-Semitism. We all remember where we were on May 21st when Sarah Milgram and Yaron Lashinsky of blessed memory were murdered outside of Capitol Jewish Museum, targeted simply for attending a Jewish event. Throughout the night that followed, Federation and the Wisconsin Jewish Security Network were up working, coordinating with law enforcement, assessing local risk, preparing communications, and ensuring our community would be informed and better protected by morning. And just days later, it happened again in Boulder after a firebombing, and again after Temple Menorah was vandalized. Each time, the response began overnight, before most people even knew what had happened. You may not always see the behind-the-scenes work, security coordination, midnight phone calls, emergency briefings, but it's there with the goal of protecting us all. And even while managing these urgent moments, the everyday work continues, helping families, educating students, strengthening identity, and building Jewish Milwaukee, because that's what we do. Here's what you, even as Federation insiders, don't always see. coordinating with local police departments and the FBI to help ensure the entire community is protected during the most serious times, coordination with agencies about protocols, resources, and updates during events like these, the communication of safety measures to key stakeholders, conversations with staff about the trauma and safety issues associated with being a Jewish communal professional in today's world. Milwaukee Jewish Federation staff and lay leaders working to gain access to community leaders and politicians to share concerns during and immediately after crises. And through it all, our CEO, Miriam Rosenzweig, continues to show up with grace, with grit, and always a sense of humor. And you might ask how? Well, there are rumors that she's powered by iced passion tango tea from Starbucks and maybe some white tuna sushi from Rice and Roll. And regardless, we are just grateful. In the midst of all the urgency, it's easy to forget that hope is happening all around us. And what brings me the most hope, our younger community members are showing up, leading, dreaming. As many of you know, I grew up here in Milwaukee, and David and I, my husband, raised our 3 kids here. And yes, I'm now gently manifesting that our grandchildren will one day move here, sending out a few Zillow announcements. But attracting, engaging the next generation is mission critical. They are our future board members, chairs, educators, and change makers. And the data shows that the time for engaging these future leaders is right now. Our Next Gen initiative continues to inspire, engaging 22 to 45-year-olds in mentorship, leadership, volunteerism, and philanthropy. They're not just preparing to lead, they're already doing it. One of my favorite moments this year was the Benjamin and Nickel Young Leadership Award Luncheon. It was really a joy to honor Adam Witkov and Joe Peltz. They're 2 exceptional young leaders helping to build a better Jewish world. Adam's joining the Milwaukee Jewish Federation board this year, and Joe is serving as chair of the HERC board. And they're ensuring that our community is positioned for strong, long-term leadership. That too is Lador Vador. We're investing in future leaders even earlier through the Teen Philanthropy Board, where high school students come together to learn about grant making and communal giving. They're thoughtful, passionate, and already making a difference. And Student to Student, our newest initiative. It's another program that I really, really love. It brings Jewish teens into classrooms to share their experiences and traditions with their non-Jewish peers. It's simple, powerful, and so needed right now. And because our work never stops and what we do has changed so much, becoming more complex, we've launched a strategic planning process to ensure we're positioned for long-term success. Program needs keep growing, and we're focused on moving forward smarter, stronger, and more sustainably. This roadmap will help us stay ready for today while building wisely for the future. Thank you to Joan Lubar and Betsy Rosenblum for co-chairing the Strategic Planning Committee. It is a very, very big job. Lador Vador, we lead, which brings me to a bright light in our future. I'm thrilled to announce our new chair-elect, my dear friend, the extraordinary Sarah Hermanoff. Sarah knows this community and this federation inside and out. I can't imagine a better person to carry us forward when she starts her term next July. Congratulations, Sarah. Even after years on the board, stepping into the role of chair opened my eyes in a new way. The scale, the speed, the precision of our work in the most intense moments. It's remarkable. While we respond to the urgent, we continue the essential, helping families, educating students, strengthening identity, and building Jewish Milwaukee. That's only possible because of the strong foundation laid by those who came before us, from building and supporting Israel in its earliest decades, to welcoming Soviet Jews through Operation Exodus, to navigating our community through COVID. Every generation has stepped up in its moment. That's Lador Vador, from generation to generation. This is our legacy and our responsibility. I think of my parents, Muriel of blessed memory, and Irving Becker. They didn't just talk about values, they lived them. My sisters and I watched them give back to their community and support the state of Israel. And I stand on their shoulders, just as many of the people in this room stand on the shoulders of their parents and grandparents as well, who did the same. Now I'd like to introduce Danyelle Newman. Born and raised right here in Milwaukee, Danyelle is the Chief Development Officer for one of our key international partners, the Jewish Agency for Israel, JAFE. Danyelle is here to give us an important update on what's happening on the ground in Israel. Our partnership with JAFE ensures we can respond quickly and effectively when it matters most. Less than 72 hours after the October 7th attack, we allocated $180,000 to JAFE's Victims of Terror Relief Fund. This provided immediate support. Earlier this year, following Iran's missile strikes, we contributed to JAFE's Emergency Fund for Rising Lion. This fund was created to support victims in a multitude of ways, affected municipalities and critical mental health needs. Before Danyelle joins us, please watch the JFNA video highlighting JAFE's uniquely specialized role and impact over the past few weeks.
The damage is extensive.
There are still missing individuals.
This central Tel Aviv neighborhood engulfed in flames.
The destruction is huge. We believe that from the ashes, the bereavement will continue building a better state of Israel.
Our teams are all over Israel, from the north to the south, making sure that nobody is feel alone.
It's an amazing feeling. We just couldn't wait. Am Israel Chai!
Let's have a great summit.
We will continue to be here, working day and night to help every single citizen of Israel and the Jewish people.
Good evening, Erev Tov to everyone. Before I get started, I would ask that we acknowledge the 50 hostages still in Gaza. We have a tradition in Judaism that even as we celebrate our accomplishments, we remember Jerusalem and those who can't be with us. In this case, it's the 50 hostages. Thank you, Judy. Thank you, Miriam. Thank you to all the leadership here. Thank you for having me at your annual meeting. I speak in many, many cities around the world, but there is something special about returning to the city in which I grew up. When the current president of Israel, Isaac Herzog, who used to be the chairman of the Jewish Agency, met me for the first time, he said, "Where are you from?" And I said, "Milwaukee." And he said, "Oh, it's great to meet another good Zionist like Golda." The last 22 months have been among the most difficult that the state of Israel and the Jewish people have ever been through. For those of us at the Jewish Agency, there has not been one moment in which our work, and really our whole lives, have not been focused on addressing the need of the civilian population of Israel. Whether it was in the early days of the war, in which we were going from kibbutz to kibbutz as they were displaced in hotels across Israel, or even in the last month as we went from hotel to hotel again, listening to the needs of the 13,000 people whose homes were destroyed by missiles from Iran. On the morning of October 7th, as sirens sounded throughout Israel's south, and we began to hear the early report of terrorist attacks, the Jewish Agency's Victims of Terror Fund was already speaking with hospitals, with municipalities, and with civilians. Our absorption centers were taking new Olim into shelters. Our Youth Futures team, which deals with youth at risk, were calling children and their families to make sure they were still alive. Since then, in huge thanks to Jewish federations, the Jewish Agency has been able to deliver hope back to the people of Israel. We managed to evacuate thousands of Olim. We delivered 35,000 food packages to elderly living in our facilities. The Victims of Terror Fund has delivered grants to close to 15,000 Israelis, and 13,000 small businesses received loans and grants. Those 13,000 businesses were able to employ tens of thousands of Israelis who were then able to receive salaries despite the economy. We created 26 new partnerships, including the partnership between Milwaukee and Yad Mordechai through our Communities Together program. We have sent 2,000 children from Israel's north and south to Jewish summer camps across North America, including a cohort at Camp Interlaken. Together, we have provided over 600 emergency security grants to Jewish communities in 62 countries around the world who have faced a rise in anti-Semitism since October 7th. This month, we will send the largest cohort of shlichim to Jewish communities ever. Close to 3,000 shlichim will leave Israel and travel to federations, to college campuses, to JCCs, to synagogues, summer camps, and so much more. These shlichim represent a concrete connection to Israel, and they provide resilience after October 7th. They talk to young people about Israel and about Israelis in a way that makes people want to connect with the state of Israel and with one another. In just a few weeks, we will send 120 shlichim to college campuses across North America, arguably one of the new fronts in this war on anti-Semitism. All of these actions strengthen two goals that we have at the Jewish Agency: to allow all Jews to take an active role in rebuilding the state of Israel and ensure mutual responsibility and build resilience in the global Jewish community. The assistance and resources that we provide is only possible because of the decades that you have been investing in the Jewish Agency through the annual campaign of your Jewish Federation. For 30 years, we have been working with all of you in building meaningful partnerships with communities in Israel. For 20 years, we have been working with you, working on behalf of youth at risk through our Youth Futures program. The first loan funds ever in Israel were created through the Federation system 25 years ago, allowing the Jewish Agency to develop an expertise in this area. Your annual campaign dollars to the Jewish Agency leveraged more than $500 million from the Israeli government to allow the Jewish Agency to serve millions of Israelis. I remind you that almost overnight, the Jewish Agency created 19 refugee centers in 4 border countries after the Russian invasion of Ukraine. That was only possible because of your annual campaign dollars have allowed the Jewish Agency to provide infrastructure and activity in that region for 45 years. Our response to October 7th and every other global challenge is only possible because of our partnership. Every dollar that you have invested in your annual campaign, and therefore the Jewish Agency, has quietly been building the programs, personnel, infrastructure that has brought us to the point where we can respond immediately on your behalf. As we now turn to the next phase of rebuilding Israel, we will need all of you more than ever. Israel will need to be physically, emotionally, and mentally rebuilt. We will need to restore the hope that has been lost. We plan to do that by bringing more olim, sending more shlichim to your communities and college campuses, by physically rebuilding the Western Negev and the North, and ensuring that all Jewish communities around the world can be safe and strong. I thank all of you for your many years of partnership and trust. I thank the Milwaukee Jewish Federation for your incredible assistance since October 7th, and your assistance during the Rising Lion operation and for decades prior. I look forward to working with all of you for many years going forward as we together address the most pressing issues facing the Jewish people. Thank you.
Thank you, Danyelle, for sharing your important work so our community knows the impact that we are having on our brothers and sisters in Israel. Anecdotally, I just returned from a JF&A mission with Danyelle, where I was able to witness firsthand the exceptional work of Jaffe as we participated on a flight from Paris with over 120 French Jews making Aliyah to Israel with their families. It was one of the highlights of my career to witness these families fleeing anti-Semitism to give their children a better life. It was heartbreaking to hear their stories, but as we touched down in Israel, to be greeted with much love and celebration, it was a feeling that will stay with me forever. Good evening, I'm Julie Schack, the Chief Development Officer at the Federation, along with Tanya Arbit, one of our amazing annual campaign chairs. We're pleased to present the 2025 fundraising report for the Milwaukee Jewish Federation, reflecting on a year that has continued to test our resilience, yet has also showcased the unwavering strength and generosity of our community. Despite the continued challenges we faced, we continue to show up and come together as a community, determined to stand strong against those who wish to defeat us so as to ensure and secure a vibrant Jewish future here in Milwaukee and around the world. So let's begin with the big picture. Through our collective efforts, we have raised just over $20 million in total financial resource development this year. This tremendous figure represents the steadfast commitment of our community to support vital programs and services, even in the face of adversity. Now let's take a closer look how the $20 million breaks down. $12.5 million came from donor advised funds and endowments. This is up over $4 million from last year. These contributions are crucial for sustaining the long-term needs of our community, providing a consistent and stable foundation for future generations. As you've heard, we have launched WJSN, the Wisconsin Jewish Security Network, designed to reduce costs and provide a statewide top-notch security program. This year, we brought in a total of $3.6 million in security grants for the Jewish community, an additional $883,000 in philanthropy to help safeguard our institutions, our synagogues, our camps, and our early childhood centers. These grants and gifts span over multiple years, and we will continue to raise the necessary resources needed to protect our community. Our annual campaign, which remains our community's best tool for ensuring we can meet the needs of today while also preparing for the future, raised an impressive $7.1 million. This campaign is a testament to the enduring dedication of our donors, who understand the importance of being proactive so that we are ready and able to meet the needs and challenges that inevitably come our way. You recall, we just heard about the Israel Emergency Fund and the response to the critical needs in Israel, raising over $5.3 million last year. This fund has allowed us to provide immediate and impactful support to our brothers and sisters in Israel during these trying times. While we distributed $4.2 million last year, the board most recently voted to release an additional $1 million to support the recent war in Iran. Judy mentioned earlier that this year's economic forum, which has been the capstone of our corporate partnership program, welcomed nearly 600 guests to the Pfister this June in partnership with the Herb Cole Philanthropies while we launched the inaugural Herb Cole Service Award. We raised an impressive $378,000 in contributions from our corporate partners this year. This expanding program of support is a powerful reminder that we are not alone in our efforts. We have allies who stand with us in our mission. These numbers that we shared today are more than just figures. They represent us, our collective Jewish people, real lives touched, futures secured, and a global Jewish community that refuses to be shaken. Together, we have demonstrated that no matter the obstacles, our commitment to Jewish life remains unbreakable. Thank you for your continued support and dedication to the Milwaukee Jewish Federation. We've got more work to do, and it is not always easy. But tonight we celebrate, and together we will continue to build a strong, vibrant, and safe future for all.
Thank you, Julie. Good evening, everyone. It's so wonderful to see so many familiar faces, as well as many new ones here tonight. Each of you played a critical role in our 2025 annual campaign, both as donors and as volunteers. When I stepped into the campaign co-chair role a year ago, I was excited and energized, especially because I have such a deep love and appreciation for our community. I know firsthand how the impact of the Federation's annual campaign changed real lives. My own life was changed forever because of you and the ones who came before you when I immigrated from Ukraine here 30 years ago. Last year, we spoke about the gut-wrenching tragedy of October 7th. Who would have imagined that nearly 2 years later, the aftermath of that day would continue to shape and challenge what it means to live as a Jew in the diaspora? I know, because of speaking with many of you here tonight and in the community, this year felt unsettling and understandably very, very personal. Whether you have family or friends in Israel or have experienced anti-Semitism personally, you have found yourself reevaluating your relationship with Judaism. Please know this. You are not alone. We are here with you. And we're deeply grateful for your involvement and your unleading commitment to our Federation. Simply put, we cannot do this work without you, and we do not take your support for granted. Tonight, I would like to share a few of the incredible achievements we accomplished together as a community. Next generation continues to thrive thanks to a large part of the inspiring leadership of Sammy Garelick and Rosie Vayner as council chairs, along with the professionals Kelly Bettinger and Nicole Garelick. Together, they helped raise $140,842 from donors aged 22 to 45. We also welcomed 21 new Ben Gurion Society members, donors under age 45 who contribute $100,000 or more annually. 1,000. Oh, 1,000. Thank you.
I wish it was 100,000.
Me too. A major gift community raised an impressive $4.3 million from 115 donor families, including 15 new major donors. Major donors, those giving $10,000 or more, now account for 62% of total campaign dollars. Many of these donors also support the campaign through legacy gifts and the Jewish Community Foundation. Women's philanthropy, under the campaign leadership of Becca Goralnik and the professional support of Cornel Fendrick and Melissa Taylor, saw remarkable growth. We welcome 11 new Lions of Judah and 29 new Pomegranate Society members, together contributing nearly $1.72 million to the annual campaign. Lions of Women who contribute $5,000 or more in their own name, and Pomegranates give between $1,800 and $4,990. Our newest affinity group, the Business and Professional Network, BPN, led by Jamie Miller and supported by Ryan Woloshin, welcomed 44 new members. Donors giving $1,800 or more, or $1,000 plus for those under age 45. Across the board, 55% of returning donors increased their gifts this year. We also welcome 176 new donors and brought back 193 lapsed donors, a powerful reflection of just how deeply our community believes in the work we are doing. In total, combining the annual campaign, Israel Emergency Fund, Donor Advice Fund, corporate partnership, endowments, and grants, we raised an astounding $20 million this year. That's not just a number. That's life change, future shaped, and a Jewish community strengthened here and around the world. Looking ahead, we remain committed to shortening the campaign cycle, and I'm proud to say that this year we made significant progress, with many gifts closed by April 30th. This will continue to be work in progress, but we're moving forward. And I'm thrilled to officially announce the kickoff of 2026 annual campaign. Please join us on September 14th at Discovery World for a new signature event, Hineni, a night of community pride and purpose. There will be a major donor reception at 5 p.m., followed by a community-wide program at 6:30 p.m. We are honored to welcome actor, comedian, and unapologetic Jewish activist Michael Rappaport in conversation with Milwaukee-owned Hillary Miller, a policy analysis from the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom. Many more surprises are in store for this special evening. You won't want to miss it. The tickets are available now at the Milwaukee Jewish Federation website, and sponsorship opportunities are open. Before I close, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to my incredible co-chair, Susan Angel Miller. Her wisdom, partnership, and tireless commitment have been invaluable. And I could not be more excited to begin this next chapter alongside my new campaign chair, Jamie Miller, as we continue this sacred work at the time that feels more urgent, but also more empowering than ever before. We hope that you all will feel inspired to do even more. We need you. Our community needs you. The more volunteers we bring into this work, the greater the impact we can make, together as one. On behalf of the single working mothers who have access to daycare, thank you. On behalf of the elderly Jews in Russia and Ukraine who receive life-saving medicine, thank you. On behalf of the victims of terror who felt our support when they needed us most, thank you. On behalf of all those whose life you have touched, thank you. Thank you for all that you do and continue to do. Thank you so much. And I'd like to welcome our wonderful President and CEO, Miriam Rosenzweig.
Well, good news, you heard Tanya announce it. Our goal is 1 million donors next year. And I know that with Tanya and Jamie, we're gonna make it happen. I also wanna say, it's so good to listen to these reports. $20 million for the community of our size is outstanding. You know, the way federations are grouped in the federation system, it's called by city size, which you would think would mean population. We are in the same city group as Houston, which has something like 75,000 Jews, and Dallas, that has 100 million Jews, right? We are in San Diego, where I don't even know the number, but it's a lot, and a lot of wealth. And we're in the same category because city size is campaign size. It's the amount you're able to raise from the Jewish community. $20 million is extraordinary. And so, especially in this room, who comes to the annual meeting? The people who have most committed, our volunteers, our leadership, our donors, that's who's here. I just want to start with thank you, because we're pretty amazing as a community. And it's also good to listen to the reports before me, because as Judy said, we wake up every morning, and I have said for now 22 months that we have 3 priorities. The first is the safety and security of the Jewish community, and that includes fighting anti-Semitism. And the second is making sure that safety and security and fighting anti-Semitism is not the only experience of being Jewish, and making sure that there is access to Jewish life. And the third is to stay grounded in this moment, because there's a lot of feelings about being Jewish, about Jewish community, about Israel, about being a Wisconsinite, a Democrat, a Republican. There's a lot of feelings in the room, and being grounded in order to do job 1 and 2. And that's what I say every day, and if you've been in a meeting with me, you've heard me say it several times, because we need to remember that. But I have to say that I live in that first one a lot. I live in the fighting anti-Semitism security zone. And I thought a lot about what am I going to report on today. And it's a downer. It's a real downer to talk about that all day long, every day. But we have to talk about it because it's all day long, every day. And one of the ways I ground myself is that I think about our traditions and I think about our uniqueness. And what came to me is, I think to become an employee of the Jewish Federation at any given point, you have to learn Hillel saying, if I am not for myself, who will be for me? If I am only for myself, who am I? And if not now, when? We all have to say it. And I thought, what does that have to do? Why is that the one coming to mind? And I realized that it's a guidepost of what we do and how we do it around anti-Semitism, and I wanted to touch on that today. I know that when I say that sentence, everyone thinks I'm going to talk about philanthropy, right? If I'm not for myself, I'm going to say we have to support the Jewish community first, and that's true. We are the only people who will take care of us, and that's also true when we're thinking about anti-Semitism, that we have to start and think about who we are and what our responsibility is. If I'm not for myself, who will be for me? One of the most amazing initiatives that Judy spoke about that was started this year is J-Hub. This program started because we have an amazing asset for Jewish Wisconsin, and that is the Nathan and Esther Peltz Holocaust Education Resource Center. And they are in 300 plus school districts, and there is a state mandate that says that everyone has to learn about the Holocaust. And HERC did a survey of its teachers, and what they found was that the teachers said, when it comes to finding out about the Holocaust and where its resources are, they know where to go. They go to HERC. They know what to do. And then they asked them, where do you go to report anti-Semitism or to deal with anti-Semitism in your classroom? And they weren't sure. And then they asked them, what access do you have to curriculums on Jewish identity? Some knew about the Jewish Museum of Milwaukee, but many answered they didn't know where there's an actual curriculum because there doesn't exist one. And so the idea of the hub started from, hey, let's create a system in which schools don't have to figure out how to navigate the Jewish community. We can navigate it for them. But being part of a Jewish community means that you also get to learn from every other community in America. And over the last 5 years in California, there was a big movement to add a curriculum that was incredibly anti-Jewish. Under the Ethnic Studies Department, it was anti-Israel, it was anti-Jewish, and the California's Jewish communities came together and created curriculum around that. And we said, well, what if we brought that here? So that when a school is calling, they can call one line and get access to Holocaust education and Jewish identity. When they're calling from one, they'll get the other. If we can't tell our story, who will? The first big initiative that they are focusing on, because some of the schools already know about it, but most of them will find out in September, is going to be Violins of Hope. Violins of Hope are violins of people who were murdered in the Holocaust, who were forced to play them in the Holocaust, who survived the Holocaust, who have been restored. It's being brought in by the Milwaukee Youth Symphony Orchestra. The Jewish Museum is the only Jewish institution to hold the violins at such a large number and for such a large time. And the Holocaust Education Resource Center has already built the curriculum that they're teaching in the classrooms. But the hub is now trying to get as many of the schools to come and not just do the curriculum in the classrooms, but come and do it with us in the Jewish Museum, tell the story together, and get the story of the violins, but also find out who Jews are. Not only the destruction of the Jews. Find out who we are and who we are today. I hope that you will join us and that you will bring people, and that as the only place where the Jewish community is hosting these violins, that we can host as many people, not only from the Jewish community, but outside the Jewish community, to tell our story. But if I'm not for myself, who will be for me? We're in a room of insiders, so I want to talk about Israel. I wish my story that I'm about to say started with, I was listening to NPR, or I was listening to this really smart podcast, but this morning I got into my car, and I don't know how it was by accident, but Radio Andy came on. And if you don't know who that is, that's Bravo radio station. And Sandra Bernhardt had her show, and literally turned it on, and I hear her say, what Israel is doing is causing anti-Semitism. And I want to start by saying it is our job to not just call this out, but to remind ourselves that that's not true. There's no action of any politician, there's no policy of any government that can cause anti-Semitism. It's a good excuse, it's a good story, it's a good reason to say, I don't hate Jews, I hate Zionists. I know that means I hate 90% of the Jews, but it's not them, right? I don't hate Jews, I just hate Israel. I hold Israel to a different standard than anyone else. This room of leaders, this room of people who are so invested in the stake, we have to say very clearly, even when we disagree, even when you are concerned about the actions, even fill in the blank, any situation, that's not what's causing anti-Semitism. A few weeks ago, I heard from 2 different places where someone said, wow, Miriam's really leaning into this Zionism business. First of all, I've never been prouder. Thank you. And we started reflecting, how did that comment come about? Different places were saying, and they weren't necessarily saying it in a negative. One was concerned, right, because Israel, most of the community could speak about, but Zionism is really uncomfortable because the most successful campaign from those who hate Israel isn't BDS, it's saying that Zionism is racism. And it has become a toxic word that's nuclear. And people don't want to touch it, and most people don't know how to answer. And I have conversations with people whose children are asking them questions, and they don't know how to answer. Because when they say, but Zionism is, and they list all these things, and Zionism is the belief that Jews have the right to self-actualization like any other people. It doesn't have policy, it doesn't have borders, it doesn't have a government, it doesn't say how. It's very Jewish. It says we should do it. It's a good idea. Zionism isn't new. Zionism is 2,000 years old. When we speak in front of groups, we get up there and what we say is, have you ever been to a Jewish wedding? And we break a glass. Do you know what we say? We mention Jerusalem, and that we can't have a wedding without doing that. Have you ever been to a Seder? What's the last line of the Seder? Next year in Jerusalem. That has nothing to do with who's prime minister or what the borders are. And when we mourn, we get up from a Shiva house and we turn to the person who's in mourning and we say, may you be comforted with the mourners of Zion in Jerusalem, and we've been doing that for 2,000 years. Zionism isn't new. We also have to explain the nuances. Americans have only met primarily Ashkenazi Jews. And so painting the story of Israel in American racial terms is wrong. And so one of the things we've been doing as a federation is talking about Zionism and talking about understanding Mizrahi Jews and understanding that 54% of Israelis aren't European. It blows people's minds. We're doing it so much, we're going to Morocco with the group. We're talking about this history because most Americans have never met a Jew who's not from Europe because they let the European Jews in. They didn't let in the 812,000 Jews that were displaced or kicked out of the Middle East. They ended up in Israel. And so you're going to see a lot of this. And some of it will be subtle. You may have seen it at Yamim, where we had signs that said what Zionism meant, right? One of them was Zionism isn't new, to give you language. But that's a quiet and subtle way, but it puts it there. And some of it, the Israel Center and our Shlicha, Noah, are putting together sessions where if you want to sit and study and learn about it, we want to give you the tools so that you could do it. And then I thought about that phrase. Miriam's really leaning into Zionism because I can. Not every professional who wants to say that word out loud in front of their annual meeting or their population can, because we have different agencies who have different roles and different populations. And all of them are pro-Israel. I'm very animated. All of them are pro-Israel, but they may not be at the front of the fight on this. And we will continue to do it because where that is, that's the role of the Federation. If I'm not for myself, who am I? But if I'm only for myself, what am I? I have had conversations with so many of you about the pain that we experienced individually and collectively at the silence of other communities after October 7th. The deep pain of communities that we thought we were in partnership with, or friends, I've heard it from people organizationally. I've heard it from people who talked about friendships and how people didn't see them and the great pain. And for some, there's a natural inclination to say, enough. I don't need them, they don't need us. We're not in community with them. But we can't do that. You can't solve anti-Semitism by yourself, and you can't thrive as a community by yourself. If I'm only for myself, what am I? Over the last year, we have grown and doubled down on our efforts to come together with other communities. About a year ago, we rescued Roberta Clark from New Jersey and brought her here. And in that year, everyone who meets her says, God, she's so amazing. She's done so much, because she has. She's met every politician. She's met every other community. She's done that. And of course, there are some boundaries now. Being in community doesn't just say we accept everything and how you are. But it does mean that she's doing the work, and she reinvigorated our Latino Jewish Alliance, our Asian American Alliance, our African American Alliance, and has done just incredible work. And it's grown so much that a few months ago we brought Kai Gardner home, and she's now there to expand our work in communities and expand these partnerships, because she's so good and she knows so much, and she's the right person to grow that arm of our work. Because we don't have the luxury of saying we could be alone. We have to be together, and the work of the JCRC is more important than ever. And if not now, when? Judy mentioned our next generation. And I want to expand a little on this student-to-student program, because we can't wait until they're in college to start helping them deal with what's around them. I think I've shared at a previous annual meeting, but a few weeks after October 7th, maybe a week after October 7th, I met with high school students and I asked them how it's going, and one of them said, I lost my whole friends group, right? Because there's a litmus test. And they're kids, and what they see is one's a racist and one's not. They're not making a differentiation, and you're choosing the racist. We can't be friends. And we also know that most kids aren't exposed to the Jewish community, and so Student to Student is a program that takes the kids and helps them tell their Jewish narrative, who their family is, what it means to be Jewish, and they go to schools, not their own schools. They go to other schools. And they talk to kids who may have never met someone Jewish, who gets to ask that question. And I was meeting with some of the team members, and again, this is another collaboration. JCRC's involved, the CJL's involved, HERC's involved. And I said, what were the responses of the kids at the end? I think I'm old because I'm calling teenagers kids. I think that's the first part, right? And they said that it was the most meaningful, two of them said it was the most meaningful experience of their life. One of them used the word Lador Vador, but that was Tippy's son, so it was expected. But talked about the experience of telling his grandparents' story and connecting it down to his story. They worked with 137 students across different schools, from Milwaukee to Ozaki. Ugh, couldn't think of that one. And we're going to continue this program, we're going to grow it, but next year we are starting another initiative for even younger students. We have an amazing program for our day school students, and that is an 8th grade trip to Israel. And it's an amazing opportunity to go because the data tells us that birth rate is too late. And so having an experience in high school as you're entering high school is really, really important. But currently our community only has it for kids who go to day school. And I'm very excited to tell you that our Israel Center is going to have a program called Israel Now for 8th graders who go to public school, an 8th grade trip. It's a This is a program that's been started pre-October 7th and had grown to 13 communities. We had almost signed on right before then everything halted. And now we're back in. And we're back in because we're not going to wait. And we're not going to determine whether you get access to Israel, whether you're in a day school or not. And I'm so proud that our community is doing this. If I'm not for myself, who will be for me? If I'm only for myself, what am I? And if not now, when? And I shared the work of the Federation, but I want to say that fighting anti-Semitism is everyone in this room. We have agencies here who do really important work. You have the JCC with the pantry, a shining example of Jewish values. Mark always says, right? We have non-Jewish kids at Ghana Me who are having a uniquely Jewish experience. We're fighting anti-Semitism in different ways. I see Tikkun Ayer, and I just want to give them love every annual meeting because they're fighting anti-Semitism. You see Dan and JFS, and serving every part of Milwaukee, and showing up with the word Jewish, which isn't always an asset to them, especially now where people give them a hard time for the Jewish part of their name. And they represent us, and they're fighting anti-Semitism. Every one of us, at the Economic Forum, what was so incredible was that we heard afterwards that the people in the room weren't just proud like we were of these guys, the Rat Pack, right? We weren't just proud of them. They were amazed to be reminded of what the Jewish community does for the Jewish community and for the rest of Milwaukee. In philanthropy and in business, all of you in your day jobs are fighting anti-Semitism. All of you, when you interact nicely with your barista for your passion fruit iced tea, which is delicious, are fighting anti-Semitism. Some of you are doing it online, and I'm really proud that my baby brother, he doesn't look like it because he's 6'2", but my baby brother Benji Rosenzweig is here. And if I was on Instagram more than once a year, I would tell you what he says every day. But I'm so proud to be walking down the street and someone will say to me, "Oh my God, you're Benji's sister?" Because he is a frontline warrior in the social media war against anti-Semitism and anti-Israel. You can't be in this job and not know that we do this on the shoulders of the giants who came before us. For me, that is Mel Zaret. I see Eva here, right? Who shaped this community. It's Rick Meyer, who shaped the future generation. It's Hannah Rosenthal, and now I get to benefit from the work that they did. But it's all the leaders who came before you, and the boards who sat here before you, and who made the decisions, and the 100 years of people giving because they cared, not because it was a minute's crisis. And I have tremendous gratitude, first for all Jewish communal professionals who continue to do this work, and all of them, I don't care what agency they work for, have to answer the question about Israel or what happened and are getting asked to explain it. But to the Federation staff in particular, I want to say that May and June of this year felt like October and November of 23. There were global events that were extraordinary. There were national events. The attack in Boulder, the attack and the murder in DC, that's all happening, and then 500 other things were going on. And we figured out that there was like a 36-day period where no one had a day off because everything was happening on the weekends. The Federation staff are outstanding. And they make it all seem seamless, but they're doing incredible work. And then I want to end with gratitude, first to my partner, Judy. And I was thinking, like, what's the word that describes Judy? And if you know the word Hamish, it's Judy. Leadership, you can't see, but everyone's nodding. Hamish is Yiddish for homie in a good way. Like you're just who you are, and you could say anything, and the formality comes down, and your personhood comes in. And in a moment with so many feelings, it's pretty incredible to have a partner that leads in that way. So thank you, Judy. And to my husband, Matt, who deserves a cape just for being married to me, but also for so much that he does behind the scenes to make sure that not only me, but the work that we do can show up for Jewish Milwaukee. So if I'm not for myself, who will be for me? If I'm only for myself, who am I? That is our mantra, right? Hillel told us how to do this thousands of years ago, and here we are doing it. It's really fitting that that's the sentence, and the next part I'm supposed to introduce is our in memoriam. And it's a moment where we reflect on those who've passed this year. And every one of them was a donor to this community who made possible all the work that we're doing because of the years of this, the years of setting up the systems to make it happen. And I wanted to note one person in particular, and that we lost Jonathan Brostoff this year. And it's so fitting to tell this when we're talking about the environment of the last few years. Jonathan, at his funeral, I went to his dad and I said, he was relentless in the best way and sometimes in the hardest way, because he stood for what is right. He stood for what he believed in, and he didn't let go. And his dad said, you really got him. And I said, yeah, because when he saw a path forward, he went that way. And what he experienced was that he was a champion of everything that everyone in a progressive world would not just agrees with, but worshipped. And on October 7th, he found out he was alone. He found out that he was alone, that if he didn't join the anti-Israel group, and because he was pro-Israel, he could not get back into those circles. And he lost his friends, and he lost an incredible amount of community capital. And I want to remember him for who he was. Because when he died, they remembered what he did. And they remembered everyone that he fought for. I want to remind us what I said. Israel can't cause anti-Semitism. It just brings it out. And Jonathan knew it, and he named it. I now turn it over to remember those who passed this last year. May their memories be a blessing, and may their families be comforted with the mourners of Zion and Jerusalem.
I'm sorry, but seeing those names is, it's a lot. Rabbi Elazar taught us that when we pray, we ought to remember the line, Da lifnei mi ata omed, know before who you stand. While his intent was specific to prayer, there's also deeper meaning to know exactly who stood before us. We just witnessed the names of those who have lost this past year. As these names scroll before us, I cannot help but think of know before who you stand. We all need to remember all those who stood before us, the visionaries, the dreamers, the doers, the donors, the friends, and the family, those who made the opportunities we enjoy today. My name is Moshe Katz, and I'm the chair of the Board of Trustees of the Milwaukee Jewish Community Foundation.
Good evening. I'm Jen Milkman, Senior Endowment Associate at the Jewish Community Foundation. As we remember those who have passed in the last year, we are also pleased to honor a few individuals who have recently signed the JCF Book of Life based on making a legacy gift to support community organizations. The Jewish Community Foundation's Book of Life program signifies and honors the formalization of a commitment to an endowment or legacy gift that is made to benefit the Milwaukee Jewish community through one of our local agencies. Through the program, the personal history of the donor's life and participation in our community and the origins of the values that led them to make the commitment is documented by creating their story. It is then signed and included in the Book of Life to document the journeys, hopes, and dreams of our donors and to inspire future generations. Created by the Jewish Community Foundation, the Book of Life honors and pays tribute to those who have committed to establishing an endowment or leaving a bequest to the Jewish community. Our community flourishes today and will grow for generations to come because these individuals planted the seeds of caring and nurtured its roots. Their values and commitments have shaped who we are today and will continue to guide who we will become tomorrow. Tonight, we honor 4 such individuals whose names and stories now live within the Book of Life: Amy and Fred Crone, Sherry Levine, and Maury Schechtman of blessed memory. Each of them has made a powerful statement about the kind of future they want for Jewish Milwaukee, and tonight we celebrate their vision, generosity, and impact. This evening, just before this annual meeting, Sherry Levine and Amy and Fred Crone signed their Book of Life stories, copies of which are displayed on the boards in the back of the room. Maury Schechtman, who just passed away in April, will have his entry signed in memoriam. Please take a moment to read their stories in the lobby on your way out tonight, or to peruse the entire collection of over 100 Book of Life stories in the hard copy book, also in the lobby. To whet your appetite, here are some brief excerpts from the stories of tonight's honorees.
For Amy and Fred Crone, Amy's Crone legacy's gifts are a testament to her dedication to building a vibrant Jewish future. Through her Book of Life story, she shares her hope that her commitment will inspire others to embrace the values of continuity and care that shape Milwaukee, that make Jewish Milwaukee flourish. Amy writes, "Selling my business in 2014 enabled us to open a family foundation. It focused primarily on giving people in Milwaukee the opportunities we had, with emphasis on education and the development of healthy and sustainable communities. Our philanthropy encompasses the community beyond the Jewish community, but the Milwaukee Jewish Federation has always been our family's foundation primary beneficiary and is now the recipient of a legacy gift. Having grown up in Philadelphia, I believe it is important to have a healthy and vibrant Jewish community in medium-sized cities as well." Fred Crone has been a steadfast supporter of the Milwaukee Jewish Federation for decades, leading with generosity and deep commitment to ensuring our community thrives. His decision to join the Book of Life reflects his belief in planting seeds today that will sustain and strengthen Jewish life for generations to come. Fred writes, "Perseverance has been a guiding force, helping me navigate challenges and emerge stronger. Gratitude has been a constant companion, reminding me to appreciate the blessings in my life and to approach each day with a thankful heart. With appreciation and gratitude for the sacrifices and support of our forebears, especially our parents, who have paved the way for Amy and me to achieve success and happiness in our lives, and for the model they have set. We have made legacy gifts to the Milwaukee Jewish Federation and to our synagogue, Congregation Emmanuel B'nai Sharon. It is our hope that these donations, along with the gifts of others, will strengthen and sustain the community and make it possible for future generations to thrive here and to realize their ambitions and dreams as we have done. For Sherry Levine, legacy gifts to the Milwaukee Jewish Federation, Jewish Museum Milwaukee, and Congregation Sinai. Sherry's signing of the Book of Life reflects her passion for Jewish learning, culture, and community. Her legacy gifts ensure the programs, institutions, and traditions she cherishes will remain strong and meaningful for those who follow. Sherry writes, mentors like MJF professionals Evie Garfinkel and Mel Zaret helped me find my place. Being an active part of this Milwaukee Jewish community and our general community has been my good fortune and given my life so much meaning. This is why Lloyd and I have legacy commitments to the Milwaukee Jewish Federation, the Jewish Museum Milwaukee, and Congregation Sinai. For Maury Sheckman, Alava Shalom, legacy gifts to include to support Jewish Family Services and Congregation Beth Israel Ner Tamid. We also honor the memory of Maury, of blessed memory, whose profound dedication to Jewish life continues to the Book of Life. His story now lives in these pages, inspiring future generations to follow his examples of leadership, generosity, and vision. Maury wrote, ultimately, family is what is most important to me. When I think of what I am most proud of, I think of my children and my grandchildren. When they need help, I moved my in-laws to Milwaukee to be closer to us. Family is family. Compared to family, all else is nonsense. Jewish Family Services took over the Milwaukee Children's Home in 1948, and I'm very happy about leaving Jewish Family Services a legacy gift. I'm very pleased that there are a lot of organizations today taking care of Milwaukee Jewish community. The world is a scary, crazy place, and I hope that we can find a way to thrive and live in peace.
These four individuals and their stories remind us that our community's strength comes from those who not only support it today, but who also ensure its vitality for tomorrow. Please join me in a heartfelt round of applause to thank Amy, Fred, Sherry, and Maury for their extraordinary commitment. Their legacies will shape Jewish Milwaukee for generations, and their values will continue to inspire us all to think not only of today, but of the future we are building together.
If you have not made a legacy commitment to support the community, and are not yet inscribed in the Book of Life, and want to be, please reach out to Jen or to Mitch. And if you already have a conversation about the possibility of making a new legacy gift commitment to any organization, please let Jen or Mitch know. Thank you. But my last page isn't here. I will. I can wing it. Glasses come off. What's that? No. My addition that actually is off script was this. We have to change the future. And I'm looking at every single one of you in the room if you have not yet done it. Our organizations, many of them here in the room, are relying on us to do so. We cannot survive on only our annual campaign. We can't. It's not possible. You have to endow your annual campaign. You have to endow our agencies. You have to endow our synagogues. You've got to make this place last for centuries. And we can't do it alone anymore. There's a man in Chicago, whose name I will not mention, whose idea was to give 10% of your net worth at the end of your life to Jewish organizations. If we did that, we will no longer need annual campaigns anywhere. That's the amount of transfer of wealth that is about to happen across this country and around the world of Jewish dollars. We can literally change the future. Nobody likes soliciting, but we all do it because we have to. Our kids are going to our day schools, our kids are going to our camps, our kids are going to our synagogues, our kids are secured because of us. And if we don't do it, it isn't going to happen. It can't. There's only so many of us. So I'm asking you, I'm pleading with you for the sake of our future. Da lifnei mi ata omed, know before who you stand. We stand on the shoulders of giants before us who had a vision a few years ago that our foundation can be what it is today. It is today worth over $200 million. Let's make it $1 billion. That was Mark Brickman's dream, and I believe we can actually get there. It's in your hands. Thank you all very, very much.
I couldn't agree more. Thank you as well to our Book of Life contributors. Your generosity is another beautiful expression of L'Ador V'Dor, and your impact will ripple through generations. We are super grateful to our Milwaukee Jewish Federation board members. You bring diverse perspectives, deep commitment, and willingness to do the hard work and make the tough calls. Tonight, we honor 3 whose terms are ending: Craig Johnson, Mark Miller, and Brian Schupper. Craig, Mark, and Brian, thank you for guiding and growing Jewish Milwaukee. Your passion for our community is inspiring, and we will miss your presence on the board. Please join me in giving them a round of applause for their service. And now, to begin the business portion of our annual meeting, I invite Governance and Nominating Committee Chair Mark Goldstein to present this year's Nominating Committee report.
The moment you've all been waiting for. Good evening, I'm Mark Goldstein, Chair of the Governance and Nominating Committee, and I am honored to present the Nominating Committee report for our 2025-2026 Board of Directors. As a fellow board member, I understand the immense privilege, honor, and responsibility that come with serving on a distinguished board. It represents the pinnacle of volunteer achievement within Milwaukee's Jewish community. As board members, it's our duty to ensure that the values of our community are upheld by those we elect as stewards. These individuals are entrusted with making critical decisions to address our community's most urgent needs. Just as a reminder, according to our bylaws, all members of our corporation are eligible to vote, and anyone who contributes to our annual campaign is a member of the corporation. First, we nominate 3 individuals for a first 2-year term: Mindy Pillay, Brian Parrish, and Adam Witkoff. I call for a member to make a motion to elect the nominees recommended by the Governance Nominating Committee. Second? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes. Next, we nominate 3 individuals for a third 2-year term: Alan Borsick, Reza Colton, and Susan Lubar. I call for a member to make a motion to elect the nominees recommended by the Governance Nominating Committee. Is there a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes. Next, we nominate 2 individuals to continue by virtue of ex officio status: Tanya Arbit and Jill Plavnik. I call for a member to make a motion to elect the nominees recommended by the Governance Nominating Committee. Second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes. Next, we nominate 3 individuals who are completing the terms of vacated director positions: Susan Angel Miller, Lisa Hiller, and Joan Lubar. I call for a member to make a motion to elect the nominees recommended by the Governance Nominating Committee. Did I hear a? Yes. Okay. People are getting tired. Is there a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes. And finally, I'd like to acknowledge others who need not be elected tonight, but who are members of the 2025-2026 board, either because they are continuing their board of director term, or joining the board, or continuing on the board by virtue of their ex officio status as committee chairs. They are as follows: Steve Aronson, Linda Bader, Alan Carniel, Judy Corin, Barbara Glazer, myself, Heidi Goodman, Eileen Graves, Rebecca Goralnik, Sarah Hermanoff, Susie Honigberg, Ann Jacobs, Moshe Katz, Cindy Levy, Jamie Miller, Max Rosansky, Betsy Rosenblum, Jody Sprinkman, Carrie Steinberger. Thank you all so much for your commitment to this community, and mazel tov to our new board members. Now, once again, our board chair, newly elected, Judy Corin.
But wait, there's more. No, not too much more. We're in the closing. But one final important mention before we conclude. As proud members of the Milwaukee community, we're thrilled that two of our own, Joan Lubar and John Crouch, are serving as co-chairs of the 2025 General Assembly of the Jewish Federations of North America. Amazing, yeah. It's an amazing honor, and the GA will take place November 16th through 18th in Washington, D.C. This year's conference will focus on rebuilding Israel, securing our communities, and deepening Jewish engagement. It's where the Jewish community gathers to confront the biggest issues of our time, share bold ideas, and shape the future together. Our community has planned a legislative day immediately following the GA in Washington. This is where we'll have opportunities to meet and advocate with our community's senators and Congress members. We hope to see you all there. As we wrap up tonight, and I reflect on my first year as board chair, I leave this meeting filled with gratitude and awe. Thank you for everything you do, not just for being here tonight, but for showing up for Federation and for Jewish Milwaukee every single day. And now it feels fitting to close with the Shehechianu. This prayer is more than tradition. It's a blessing of gratitude, a way of marking sacred moments, and an acknowledgement of the significance of being here together in this time and place. Thank you, Cantor.
And please join me as we sing together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh.
Thank you. And of course, as is tradition on a summer evening, now it's time for us to go ahead and have some ice cream. So please join us for a cold treat.